Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry we're having a little technical difficulties here, so apologize for the delay.
Hey, Craig.
Yep.
I just sent you or added you to a chat team. We will need you to share your screen with the agenda and go through each of the items as we talk about them, because we can't share from this computer right now.
What in a Sam Hill?
And so the two links I sent you are for the memo and the admin mod 4.
You sent those in the chat?
Yeah, in Teams. Can you see it?
I see it.
Okay, so yeah, if you can use those two links for the tech memo or the admin mod 4, that would help.
For admin mod 4. Okay. So what about the other things?
You'll just have to go to the regular agenda page on the AMATS website.
Okay. Let me, and you are going to challenge me on this. No, I'm not technically astute.
I believe it. You got it.
Okay. I guess we're ready then.
Okay, are you going to share the agenda then?
I'm looking, I see open share tray. Let me see here. Here's the agenda. Is that showing up?
That takes a second. There we
That
go.
got it.
Hot damn.
Hey, let's call the September 10th meeting, the AMATS Technical Advisory Committee to order. And Craig, can you go ahead and do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Van Ho.
Present.
Mr. Stitchick.
Present.
Ms. Kilcoyne.
Present.
Mr. Lindemood. Mr. Lindemood. I saw him on the line earlier.
I'm here. Sorry, having unmuting problems.
That'll happen. Ms. Acton or Mr. Rudolph, I think.
Yeah, this is Bart sitting in for Jamie.
Perfect. And I believe Carol Wong is in for Ms. McNulty.
Present, here for Michelle.
All right, and Mr. Amundsen for Mr. Linnell.
Present. Here for John.
Okay, Mr. Rebuffo.
Here for me.
I'm glad you're here for you. Mr. Colhays. Mr. Alimi. Mr. Kratz.
No, I'm here.
Okay, so we have 9 members. We have a quorum. Ready to go.
Excellent. Okay, I guess next on the list, Craig, could you do the public involvement announcement, please?
Sure. All AMATS committee meetings are open to the public. The public is provided an opportunity to comment at each meeting. In the case, what we're doing lately, we are doing usual where our business items are presented by staff or a consultant, and after that, the committee is given an opportunity to discuss the item. And after the committee discusses it, the public is invited to comment. We, as per usual, have posted our meetings and offered the public an opportunity to follow along through the Teams Live, but we also have offered them the opportunity to comment, and as of yet, we have not received any requests to comment on any of our business items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. We're moving down to, do we have an approval of the agenda, please?
This is Todd. Move to approve.
Steve Rebuffo, I'll second.
I heard both Ms. Kilcoyne and I believe Mr. Rebuffo, so your choice, Mr. Chair. Which one did you hear first?
Let's see, let's go with Mr. Rebuffo then.
Okay. Moved and seconded.
Okay, do we have any changes? Are there any objections to adopting the agenda? Okay, agenda. Let's see, I think we have the July 9th, 2020 minutes for approval. We have a motion for that.
Move to approve the minutes as presented. This is Todd, second.
Thank you. Do we have any changes? Who moved? Let's see, Jim and Todd. Okay,
Jim Amundson moved.
right, and are there any objections to adopting the minutes? Okay, hearing none, the July 9th, 2020 minutes are approved. I think we're moving on to agenda item 5A, the 2019 to 22 TIP amendment number 1. Craig, can you present this?
I will. So the memo up on the screen, hopefully folks can see that already. This is the amendment that we have had before us for a while. Again, amendments just take a little longer. They have the public process that we go through, and currently we have we are required by our operating agreement to take, and by municipal code actually, to take our amendments through the local assembly. I think you're aware of the changes. We've had this before us for a while. Just going to go down to the bottom so I don't miss the language. We did put this out for a 30-day public comment period, which was from July 19th to August 20th. We did not receive public comments on it. And the Assembly took the TIP amendment up at their August 26th meeting. They had no changes to offer. So it's back before you. We're asking for you to recommend to the policy committee to approve this. They do have one change in here that Bart has reminded me of twice, and I, of course, have completely forgotten about it twice. But down in the memo, and I believe, actually, I'm not positive it's in the amendment itself, but I know in the memo under the changes for Table 5, the CMAC program, we have in the description of the project, it says bus stop and facility improvements. You'll see that that is in red, and it is also has a strike through. That strike through should not be there because the project is still continuing. So as bus stop and facility improvements. So just the strike through should come out of that. I think that's the only thing to update you on. You've seen this before. I will happy to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Any questions or comments for the committee on this item?
Yeah, this is Todd Van Hove. Hey, Craig, just a quick question. I know we had a long discussion about this the other day. Are most of our concerns that we discussed incorporated into this?
So what occurred was we had, when we got the original information from DOT regarding the changes needed, we some of those we missed, or we maybe not quite, some of the figures were off. The discussion that we had just recently, James went ahead and sent over the rest of those changes. Aaron and I looked through them, and what I can see is there aren't any changes that would affect 2020 that need to happen right away. And our choices are to add those changes that are in there right now, but they would probably be considered a substantial difference from what we put out, and therefore we'd have to go through additional 30-day review. And among other things, the the transit fleet operations, the demo operations expansion, we're right at the tail end here of trying to get that done so they can start their expansion route. Another 30 days would not allow them to do that 2020 funding. So what I suggested back to James, which he may not have seen the email because I didn't send it first thing this morning, but what I suggested back to James is we can, anything that is really a major amendment or an amendment, we can start a major amendment right away. Unfortunately, again, if we did it now, we would have to delay this amendment adoption for a while, including going back to the assembly. So it really would delay a lot, and that's not going to help anybody. I think those changes can happen pretty quickly, especially because I think I have finally got some momentum on getting the operating agreement and the code, the municipal code changed, so we don't have to take our amendments through the assembly anymore. Long story short, they have not all been adopted, the changes, but we think we can do those in an amendment here very soon and shouldn't lose any ground on those.
Thank you. And for clarification, so in this amendment, there's nothing that it would affect 2020 that is not going to be adopted by this amendment. That's
my understanding after looking at what we said. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the committee on this item? Okay, the public was invited to comment by notifying us of their desire to comment, but we have received no such request. Is that correct, Mr. Lyon?
That's correct.
Do we have any other members of the policy committee listening that would like to comment? Okay.
Through the chair, this is James Starzik.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Craig, I just wanted to check, there was a couple planning projects that were being delayed from 2020 to 21. Is that reflected in this amendment?
Are you talking about the TSMO and the secondary streets? Yeah, those are both in the, those are both included in the administrative modification, which is next on the agenda.
Oh, okay. All right. That was about the only thing I could think of in 2020 that was really needed to get done.
Yeah, we caught that and moved that over to the admin mod so we could get that done right away.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Okay, what's the will of the committee on this?
This is Bart. I move that we recommend approval of the 2019 to 2022 TIP Amendment number 1 to the Policy Committee.
This is Todd. I second it.
Thank you. Are there any objections to approving the motion? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, we are moving on to agenda item 5B, the 2019 to 22 TIP administrative modification number 4. Craig, can you present, please?
I will. Hopefully I am pulling up the memo. There we go. Can we see that now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is an administrative modification. It is what used to be called a minor amendment. So basically we have some minor changes, additions of some funds to O'Malley Road to make sure that that creature gets delivered. So there's some balancing of funds to get enough money in O'Malley Road to get that project done. The other part is what James just mentioned is we have the TSMO, which is Traffic Systems Management and Operations, I think. This is a strategic implementation plan that was in our ITS program and had been talked about for a while, along with the 2040 secondary street deficiency analysis. Those two plans were both in the 2020 year, And we're just at the tail end here of the year, and just due to all sorts of things, including the retirement of Vivian Underwood, we are not going to start those up in 2020, obviously, because we're just a few short weeks of being done with 2020. So we're recommending those be moved out to 2021. In addition, we have not updated the AMATS model in a little while, and so in conjunction with the next MTP, the 2050 MTP, which Aaron will talk about in a bit, we're wanting to add some funds to update the model. And so we put in a kind of a round number of 200,000 in 2021. When we get a little tighter here, we might find that it's a little bit less than that, but we wanted to make sure we had at least that. So we're adding in that 200,000 for the model update. That will be done the same time as the MTP update is done. So we're moving the two other projects out and adding funding in for that, and just a little balancing. So that's what the purpose of this administrative modification is. And we would ask that you folks recommend approval of that to the policy committee. And happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Craig. Any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, again, the public was invited to comment on this by notifying us, but I don't think we received any. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Would any member of the policy committee like to comment on this item that's on the meeting? Okay. What's the will of the committee on this item?
This is Todd. I recommend approval of the 2019 to 2022 TIP amendment, TIP admin mod 4, and forward to the policy committee for approval.
Second, Jim Amundson.
Thank you. Are there any objections to approving the motion? Okay, hearing none, that motion is approved. Okay, we are moving on to agenda item 5C, the AMATS Freight Advisory Committee bylaws update. Craig, can you please present?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the memo here and it doesn't have too much on there, so I'm thinking I'll pull back to the actual bylaws amendment update. I guess I should call it an update. That's the track changes. It's got a lot of information on there. There are kind of three major things that we're trying to do with this update. There's some language in there that you can see where it says LRTP, which is what our long range plan used to be referred to as. Now it is referred to as the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or the MTP. So we're just kind of updating that language. We had some language in there here where it says ex officio member. When we first created this committee, we were talking about having someone from the state Senate and state House transportation committees serve as ex officio. That was not something that ever came to fruition, so we are suggesting removing that language. We also added some language down even lower here about allowing telephonic meetings so that we can meet as we are doing today here at the TAC via Teams. So that language is in some of the other bylaws, but not in the freight ones. So we are suggesting that. And then the other thing that we are doing is, when we first created this committee, we had 11 members, and we had a lot of folks that were people that moved freight, whether it's the parcel delivery folks or air cargo or the railroad, or people that facilitated the movement of freight, such as the Port of Alaska, or the Trucking Association, et cetera, the airport. We had one position that we were trying to figure out how to fill it, and we suggested we should look at having someone who receives a lot of freight, such as Costco or Cars Safeway or Fred Meyer's. So we were able to find the regional director of Fred Meyer, who served on the committee for a while, was very helpful. Once he moved on to a different job, was unable to get someone from that kind of area to fill in the blanks and be the person who received freights who could offer the expertise on that area. Around that same time, a policy committee member, who folks probably remember, Patrick Flynn, mentioned several times in several different policy committee meetings about the need to make sure we were taking into account what happens when the large Princess Tours or Holland America tour buses come through town and help facilitating their movement. Teresa Brewer, who was the senior planner who managed this freight committee, suggested we could take that into account by putting someone from the tourism industry on the freight advisory committee to deal with knowing where the trouble spots and the bottlenecks, et cetera, for moving buses around. So we added someone from Holland America on in that public member seat. They've been on there for about 6 years now. They've been a very good member to have on board. So somewhere along the way, the freight committee thought, well, maybe when we're changing the bylaws, we would change that from public member to tourism member, because that's who we've had in the seat. So that is why we were suggesting moving from public member to tourism member. I know that the person from the airport, the freight member from the airport, gave a update to the Turnagain Community Council recently, which caused them to send a letter to me, and I think you folks all received it as well, asking us not to do that for a number of reasons. It's certainly up to the committee. I think I've given you the reasons why we were suggesting the change. So I'm happy to answer additional questions about any of the changes that we have before us.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Any questions or comments from the committee?
I guess, go ahead.
This is Shayna. We did receive that email. And I mean, I thought it made sense to have a citizen representative or public representative on that committee, like with the other committees. And so if we've been doing this for 6 years, has it just been incompatible with the bylaws?
Well, to answer that question, I guess the seat just says public member. It doesn't specifically say who or what. When this committee was first created, it was created because the freight mobility study from, I think it was 2001 or 2002, talked about creating a freight committee that would help in the implementation of the freight mobility study, and also to identify bottlenecks and trouble areas around town. The language that we have now talks about it being a citizens forum for freight issues. And I will say that, all of our committees that we have serve as citizens forums. In other words, the citizens are always able to come up and speak to any of our committees. You've heard me say the public involvement announcement. Some of you have heard it from me thousands of times. Some of you have heard it from me less, but we're always there as a forum for the citizens to come and ask questions, etc. I will say one other thing is that in the FAST Act, when that was updated, one of the planning factors that was added relates to tourism. So we are required to take tourism and the needs of tourism into our planning process now, when it didn't used to be. So that's just food for thought. I guess my thought is we have not run foul of what the bylaws have said, because it just says public member, and it just happens to be that we're having that public member, which used to be someone who received a lot of freight, to become tourism industry, which moves those large vehicles around, and we try to figure out those bottlenecks, etc.
Craig, this is Brian. I guess I'm not necessarily in disagreement with Turnagain's comment. I mean, there's a lot of other things that go into consideration besides just moving large vehicles around. And, I'm glad that they've been able to provide guidance and input through the freight committee, but I think it needs to be a freight position unless we want to discuss just blowing up the whole committee and make it a broader focus.
And this is Steve, and I'm going to
echo what Brian just said and put it maybe in a different context. This is basically a subcommittee under the TAC and ought to be treated as a technical advisory group for the TAC. And I think the better place for public involvement, public comment is at the TAC level before this overall group decides on anything with respect to the tip. So I agree with Brian. I think we ought to keep the membership on the Freight Advisory Committee to those in the business of freight.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the committee?
This is Matt Stitchick, and I guess my concern is putting in tourism member could potentially hamstring us if we wanted to put in somebody from the commercial sector to represent movement of commerce freight, like the Fred Meyer's representative. Would it make more sense to make that more broad and say tourism or commercial sector?
Okay, any other comments? Is this a question you want Mr. Lyon to answer?
I guess my question is, if we say tourism member, can we still put somebody from commerce in to represent the recipients of freight?
Mr. Chair, I guess I would respond by saying that sounds like a pretty good suggestion. Definitely, it would be nice to have some leeway there. You know, most of the other seats are pretty specific on what they're supposed to be. I mean, there's parcel delivery and haulers and shippers, and I'm not gonna lie and say I can never remember the difference between a hauler and a shipper, but you know, I think a little room might not be a bad idea of saying tourism / distributor, or however you want to phrase it.
And
That
this
would
is
be my recommendation.
this, Steve, here's just another way of looking at it, is just leave well enough alone. Because we've been able to use the flexibility with it being called what it's called, and still get the tourism contribution there. And if there's nobody from the tourism industry that's available, and we want to fill it with somebody from the commercial sector, then so be it. You know, so that that may be another way of doing it. Just remove that edit from the proposal.
Well, this is Brian again. I'd agree with Steve on that.
Here's a thought. How
I
about
support that as well.
at-large member?
This is Shayna. I think I might prefer at-large member. I'm concerned that, to the original comment from Turnagain Community Council, that getting rid of, or, you know, not having a public member maybe doesn't bring in that aspect of the importance of freight to the public, even though the public is always very welcome to provide comments. I would think so as the commercial or tourism industry. So I just don't want to lose that piece. So maybe at large would offer flexibility.
This is Matt Stitchick. I support at-large member. Sounds very
This is-
flexible.
This is Brian. I can do the same.
And so Steve, I can do the same.
Okay, any other comments from the committee on this?
Do you need a formal motion to make this amendment?
We're going to ask for some, invite the public to comment if we have any first, if the committee is done discussing this. Is there anybody else from the committee that wants to talk on this item? Okay, I think, again, we had the public invited to comment by notifying us, and I don't believe we have anybody that that notified us. Is that correct, Mr. Lyon?
That is correct. I just double checked.
Okay. Is there anybody on Do we have anybody on from the policy?
I think I saw Mr. Young earlier, but I don't know if he's still on.
Okay, well, if anybody from the policy committee would like to. So.
I'm still here, Craig.
Okay, see you now.
Are you looking for a comment from the policy committee, or?
No, I'm being asked to delay here for a little bit, just because we want to make sure nobody jumps in here on Teams and wants to make a comment. So we're just gonna delay for a few seconds.
The Teams Live is the link that members of the public are able to listen into or non-committee members are able to listen into our meetings, and there is I think a 25 to 30-second delay sometimes. So you just want to make sure that there isn't someone raising their hand frantically over there trying to get a hold of us.
Okay, I think we're good on that. So what's the will of the committee on this item?
I think we need to approve it or move to approve it before we can like
Amend it.
amend it, yeah.
I move to approve it as submitted. Jim Amundson.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second.
Mr.
Sorry.
Buffo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And somebody else is going to have to propose an amendment because the font is so dang small. I have no idea what I'm reading.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it either, but I'm going to move to amend the language regarding the tourism member to simply say member at large.
This is Matt Stitchick. I second.
Okay. Are there any objections to approving the amendment? Okay, hearing none, that amendment is approved.
And now we have to vote on the main motion, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
unless anybody else has another amendment they want to attach to it. Okay, so are there any objections to approving the main motion on this item? Okay, hearing none, that item is approved with the amendment. Thank you. Okay, Craig, are there any other action items?
No, sir.
Okay. So moving on to project and plan updates. Do you have any updates?
Should have two from Aaron.
Hello, everyone. This is Aaron Jongenalen, AMATS Senior Planner. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the 2040 MTP. We did get approval of the air quality conformity determination from FHWA and FTA on August 26th of this year. So good news, but also bad news because it starts our countdown timer for the next MTP. So I've just finished getting the final document for the 2040 MTP put together, and I have a link of it, a link available on the AMATS website. And so I'm going to go ahead and get some copies printed. If you want a hard copy, please let me know and I'll make sure to get one to you. And that's about it for the 2040 MTP.
You? Okay, or any other updates, Mr. Lyon?
That guy again with the 2050 MTP.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron Jongenalen, AMATS Senior Planner. So I have the wonderful task of updating the 2040 or the 2040 MTP to the next MTP, which is the 2050 MTP. With Vivian Underwood having retired, I kind of stepped in to take over, and I was allowed to do so, so thank you very much. And I do want to say thank you to James Starzik because he's been working his butt off to get the TORA approved for the 2050 MTP. So thank you, James. That was a lot of stress, so you helped a lot with that. I just sent out the 2050 MTP scope of work for review by the project team. So I'm hoping to get the RFP out as soon as we can get it through purchasing. So, and then next month, I just want to give you a heads up, I'm going to be bringing a resolution forward that sets the parameters for the 2050 MTP, similar to what we did to the 2040 MTP. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Okay, Craig, any other updates?
The only update I have is that we have the senior planner position that was Vivian's posted, looking to hire somebody. And so that, I believe it is, the position is open until the 15th. So hopefully we'll get some good candidates and be able to announce relatively soon a new senior planner for AMATS. That person will be taking over the public involvement kind of stuff that Aaron was doing for the most part, since Aaron is now doing the MP stuff. So it's a group show over here, so we all help in each area, but for the most part, that's what we're looking for, hiring someone that has a lot of public involvement background and ready to do that sort of stuff.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on to general information items. Are there any general information item updates, Mr. Lyon?
None for me.
Okay. Now we are down to the floor is open for comments from the committee. Do we have any committee members speak?
This is Todd. Hello?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hey, this is Todd Van Ho from DOT. I just wanted to pass on some information about our STIP Amendment 1, which we were very excited about. And I think one of the last TAC meetings we had, I announced that, you know, we were pretty fortunate in getting a couple of new start projects in that amendment, which included a new overpass over Tudor and some other important projects within the municipality. And the latest update on that is all of our new starts have been denied. And so we're back to square one. There is an opportunity, and it's basically due to the fiscal issue within the STIP and the state. And so we're eliminating this current STIP to just the community transportation projects, which don't help the municipality of Anchorage out at all. And we will look forward to a amendment 2 that's supposed to be beginning in the early spring of next year to try and include those new starts that we were hoping for back into the STIP. That's all I have.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the committee?
Yeah, this is Bart. We have a new program that we kicked off this week. It's a grocery delivery program for seniors age 60 and over and anyone with a disability that prevents them from riding the People Mover buses, where our Anchor Rides program, if somebody places a grocery or store pickup, like at Target or Cars or Fred Meyer, our drivers will go pick up those groceries and deliver them to the people so they don't have to leave their houses. So it's a new program we're starting this week that we're excited about.
Thank you, Bart.
Well, I just made a note about that.
Okay, any other comments from the committee?
I think I have a couple of pictures of what's been cooking down here at the port I can show if anybody's interested.
Sure, is that gonna, you can just take over?
Yeah, he should be able to share.
Okay, go ahead. You should be
Yeah,
able to.
let me see if I could do this. Humor me here for a second.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah, okay. So we've been entertained by Pacific Pilot Marine for the better part of the summer here with construction of the first year of in-water construction for the petroleum cement terminal. So I've got a few photos that I could show, and believe it or not, when you see the last one, we have even moved beyond that, given the date that was on it. But here's kind of what's been cooking down here. You can see what's under construction now, where that crane is what's called a temporary trestle. That was built so that they could get out into the water with part of the crane apparatus that needs to be, that needs to help move the piles around for the pile driving to start. And alongside of it are the piles being laid for what's going to be the future dock. Here's another sort of picture of what's going on there with the fully built temporary trestle that has the cranes on it, and the templates set for the pile driving for the piles for the trestle. And then out in front of the barge over there is the start of the pile driving for the platform portion, where all of the appurtenances will go, so that we can call this a petroleum dock and a cement offload facility. That crane on the barge is it's called the store crane, which is Norwegian for big crane, and we've had that here all summer long. How big is the big crane? Take a look down in this corner over here. You see a couple of fully grown men standing along the railing next to that crane, kind of give you an appreciation scale-wise for what the size of that thing is. You can actually see it from, I was at a doctor's appointment at Alaska Regional Hospital, and you can see the crane from there. Pretty cool. Here we got a guy who's filling the piling with cement after the steel reinforcing has gone inside, and we did that for every pile. And these are the pile caps, the concrete pieces that are fit over the top of the piles that join the piles together. The kind of appendage that's sticking out on the end to the right, that will be the runner assembly for the plumbing coming off of the petroleum dock, where it's all going to make landfall. So that nothing in way of platform goes on that. That's just left open like that so that we have a way to bring the pipes that come off the petroleum dock onto shore. And here's a closer up look at it, and then you put more steel reinforcing on top of that, and the rebar cages go in there. And when we put the deck plates down on top of that, that's where the pours go to join the deck plates to the pile cap. And this is a precast mock-up assembled at the precast yard, and it ensures that the rebar placement doesn't conflict between the present pile cap and the precast deck panels. And one last platform pile to finish, and that was back in mid-August. And I think that was the afternoon we took these pictures, and this was later in the afternoon we took these pictures. So all the piling are installed, and where we are right now is most of the decking has been laid down on top of that. So we're pretty close to completing on time everything that we had scheduled to be done this summer, and are pretty excited by how things are moving. And Pacific Pile and Marine was also the successful bidder for the second year's work, so it's nice to know they won't have to remob, and we can get started sooner. In fact, they're starting on some of what needs to get done in 2021 with some of the time they have today. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's kind of what I wanted to show. Thanks for indulging me.
Well, thank you. Those are great pictures. Okay, any other comments from the committee? Okay, we're going to gavel out then. Thank you for your participation. The meeting's adjourned at 3:18 p.m. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.